Future Jam.
Welcome to the Future Jam, a tech news podcast for enthusiasts and casual listeners alike. I'm Mike, and once again, I'm here with my good buddy Alex. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
I'm good.
Getting hyped for the show, huh?
Yeah, I was slamming my chest like I was gonna say Godzilla, but it's King Kong.
Yeah, Godzilla can't bang his chest.
No, his arms are too short.
Small.
Yeah.
Did you see Godzilla versus King Kong?
Yeah, it was a good trip to the movies. I felt like.
I didn't go to. I saw it on the TV. It was good. I liked it.
Boo! You shouldn't even have watched it unless you saw it in theaters. Honestly.
Hey, it was still fun. I just wasn't back at the theaters yet, and it's hard to just go to theaters by myself. Like find time to go.
Yeah, I mean, just put your kids to sleep and go right to the theater. Tell Jen, hey, nice knowing you, and head on out the door.
I think if I couldn't watch it on HBO Max, I would have went to the theaters to see it. I don't know what the next movie I'll see in the theaters is.
You're not going to see any of the Marvel movies in theaters?
No desire. I stopped going to see the Marvel movies a while ago in the theaters. I saw Infinity War and Endgame in the theaters. We saw Endgame together, and I remember afterwards, me, you, and my brother all saying that sucked. And then I just stopped seeing them because they're all the same.
Isn't that the last one that was in theaters though?
No, because the second Spider-Man movie I did see in theaters.
Oh yeah, there's that, and then Captain Marvel maybe. I don't know if that was before or after.
That.
I don't know. I can't keep track of it all.
I just stopped seeing them in the theaters because they're all like they're kind of the same movie, and it just wasn't worth my money.
But Alex, I think you're just down on it because you had a prediction earlier this year that there's not going to be $100 million movie, and I feel like there's going to be $100 million movie opening weekend coming up soon.
Yeah, I think I saw Black Widow's opening weekend pre-sales are higher than Fast 9 was, and Quiet Place 2. So we're getting close.
I think you're going to lose out on this one because I said the Cybertruck wasn't going to be built this year, and I don't know. There's rumors that that's getting built this year, so it's still up in the air which one of us is right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think there's like another movie that is coming out that I really have to see in the theaters.
You don't want to see Dune in the theaters? I
have no desire to see Dune.
That's sad. You're a sad man.
I said it. I don't care about the movie Dune. I don't care at all. Everybody's talking about it like it was this movie that bombed, and like it didn't even have like a cult following. And like it's like very little.
What do you mean? It has a I wouldn't say huge cult following, but it has a cult following with the books and the weird movie that was released years and years and years ago.
I don't think it's as big as a following as people think it is.
So, well, I don't know. Maybe so. You might. I think it probably will bomb. Honestly, it's not going to be $100 million movie opening weekend. So I think you're right. It's probably going to bomb in theaters, and they'll probably use the pandemic as the excuse. But you ready to jump into the dumb tech of the week, Alex?
Yeah, why not?
All right. The first one up is Facebook test warns users who may have seen harmful extremist content, and I just thought this was really out there.
Yeah, so they're trying to combat like extremism. I guess, like these. Yeah, that's extremism. People getting radicalized and things like that. So they're sending out two different reports. One is warning people like, hey, do you know somebody that might have been exposed to extremist content? And the other one is, are you worried that you've been exposed to extremist content, and letting you know and trying to help, like if you're becoming radicalized and want to get out, that they can help you get out of it.
So if I got one of these messages, it'd be like, hey, you're Uncle Tim. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's definitely Uncle Tim. He's the one getting radicalized here. I don't have an Uncle Tim, but I'm, or you get this message and it says, hey, you just watched content that's radicalized. Wouldn't that further radicalize you? Because you'd be like, oh, Facebook's like spying on me and they're trying to cover up something. So I'm going to continue to do what I do. I don't agree with any of this.
Yeah, they're just trying. They've got a lot of backlash because they just let information out there, and people blame them for the rise of like QAnon and all those, and ISIS and all extremist groups. They blame Facebook on
9/11. Yeah, I blame Facebook on 9/11 as well. I don't think it was around back then, but they're to blame 100%, or at least MySpace maybe.
I think it's like everything. Like they're just like the biggest name. There's all these other websites that people are actually becoming radicalized on. They're just the biggest name that is out there and that people think they need to do something. It's like when they had like the people coming after like fast food chains. Everybody just went after McDonald's for being unhealthy. Like Wendy's and Burger King, they're all the same. But McDonald's is the biggest name.
And what's funny is McDonald's got rid of their like biggie size or whatever it's called. Super size? Yeah, super size. And Wendy's did not. Wendy's still has their biggie size, and then their large, and then their medium, and their small. So all these other companies have gigantic sizes of their fries and soft drinks, and McDonald's is the only one that got targeted. Like you said, and they had to get rid of those big sizes.
I've always said if McDonald's needs money, for a little time only, bring back the supersize meal. And I bet you people would go to McDonald's like, oh, I want to go to McDonald's so I can supersize it. People would do it, and they would come back. But that's not what we're talking about.
No, and they said that there's like a button you can press in these alerts that Facebook sends you, and you can get assistance from a program called Life After Hate. So it's like a nonprofit organization. But this is nonsense. It's not going to do anything. It's just publicity. And it's going to further, like, muddy the waters.
Yeah, they're just trying to cover the basis with this stuff. To say, like, yeah, at least we tried.
Yeah, I just think it's just a waste of time. Because Facebook could just remove the content if they really were that worried about it, right? They could just remove the content if it's radicalizing people. It's like, we put all this poison in food and people are dying. We're just going to give warning labels out there that this food has poison in it, but we're not going to take it off the shelf because some people, they don't die from this poison.
Isn't that pretty much what McDonald's did when they started showing like the nutritional facts for their food on the like the menus and things like that?
Yeah, maybe so. But you added some stories to this dumb tech of the week as well.
Oh no, this is dumb man in the tech.
Dumb man in the tech.
Yeah, kind of like old man in the sea, but dumb man in the tech.
Oh, that's poetic.
So we don't usually get political on this podcast, but it kind of overlaps with each other.
You're running for mayor? Is that what you're going to say?
I should run for mayor.
Oh.
You imagine all the listeners we would get? Oh, I meant to text you this, but I went to a 4th of July parade. Next time there's like a big parade, we should get a float and promote the Future Jam during the parade.
All right, yeah.
Thinking the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Oh, 100%. They're hard up for floats.
Listen to our podcast. So, I don't know if a lot of people saw this. This just kind of came and went to me until they kind of got hacked. But the long rumor was Donald Trump was starting his own social media platform. So they launched it last week. Is it Getter? It's Gettr.
It's a terrible name.
It's an awful name. I think though it seems like, well, Twitter's good. And you can get this. We'll call it Getter.
I think it's made by some country boys. Go get her.
Yeah, it's just. But it
get her done.
Launched last week, and it was immediately hacked. So they got immediately hacked. People's information was taken.
And I think this news story is kind of being a little sly. It's not actually Trump's. It's like some guy that worked with Trump, Jason
Mike
Miller.
Pompeo.
Yeah, Jason Miller.
Yeah,
and I think this site is so bad that Trump doesn't even want to be associated with it. Like, hey, we gave you this account, Trump. You can use it. And Trump's like, I'll think about it. I'm not getting on this platform.
They they say they have like 500,000 accounts, but my guess is that's mostly bots.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so like they like launched it. They said at 500, but like immediately got hacked. People uploaded Sonic the Hedgehog porn on the website.
So did this story pop up in your feed because you're like a big fan of that content, or?
I have been searching a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog stuff, mostly because my son's obsessed with it now, and his birthday last week we had a Sonic the Hedgehog theme.
That's probably why you got the story. And what's funny is Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the few characters that you cannot Google safely. If you Google Sonic the Hedgehog in like Google image search, you have no idea what's going to pop up there.
No, I've been doing a good job. I don't know what your searches are.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think this thing is just going to kind of come in wet. And the day after this launch, the tying with our other story, is Trump decided he's going to take legal action against Facebook, Twitter, and Google from being banned from those sites, which makes me think that, hey, he realizes that this Getter website is not going to go anywhere. Now he's trying to get back on these platforms.
Yeah, and he also doesn't want to be like... he wants to be on a already popular platform. I doubt he wants to be on a platform that has like hardly any users, because that's even further embarrassing to his already embarrassing post-presidency. So, yeah, I kind of agree with that. But I honestly think he might have a small case with this Facebook, Twitter, Google stuff. Because I do think, even though I didn't really like his posts and like how he contorted himself online, I do think they were a little bit heavy-handed with like removing him and taking him down. So he might have a case there. Just because if you look at all the other people on there's a lot of people that say far worse stuff than he does. But maybe it comes down to like, since he had the amount of power that he had, they like gave him less leeway to do what he did.
I don't know. I think they gave him a pretty amount of leeway. So, yeah, he's banned from Twitter forever and Facebook till 2023. I mean, this is going to be a class action lawsuit for everybody that has been banned from these sites. So they're expecting it to be a decent amount of people. He said it's going to be the largest class action lawsuit of all time, which I don't believe that will be true.
No, that's my Ford Focus class action lawsuit. Ford Focuses suck.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, this is going to go... he's doing it in the Florida U.S. District Court. He's suing them. I don't know, like, you're going after these companies. These companies just have a ton of money.
Yeah, exactly. Ton of money, lobbyists, all that stuff.
And I'm sure, like, no one reads the terms and conditions, but I'm sure they have this, like, final say on whatever.
That is true. Yeah, they can pretty much do whatever they want to do, honestly. So I'm sure if you read the terms of service, they're fully protected.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to actually see what happens. Because, Trump is as polarizing as like it is, but like it's not just him. It's like if this goes through, like going forward, these companies, unless they change their practices, will be barred from banning people and things like that. So that will be. It will have huge ramifications, like, if he wins. I don't think he'll win, but, like, that's what I'm more looking at when I look at this case.
Yeah, I'm curious how it shakes out, because I also do not think it's equally healthy to have all these sub-platforms where people just share, like, crazy things in their own little bubble. So I almost think it's more dangerous to, like, split all these people out into, like, weird sub-platforms. I think it's almost safer to keep everybody, in like a couple different platforms, because that way other people can not keep an eye on them, but like checks and balances, like check them for, because I can say nuts stuff if other nuts people are there, and nobody's gonna check me,
Well, that's the thing. They say like these social media companies are biased mostly to like the right and conservatives, but some of the biggest people on these platforms, like Ben Shapiro and all, are hardcore conservatives. So they do allow it. It's like the far extremes are the ones that they're banning. Like, you have to have that fine line. Like, you can't threaten people. And, like, Twitter, I know, is lately has been more cracking down on people and trying to stop like name calling or threatening people and things like that. That a lot of these like polar opposite sides on both sides like know how, like the bigger names know how to toe that line to be acceptable but still be on the platform.
I guess it's just, to me, I find really polar opposites are annoying anyways on platforms. But
yeah,
just jump into our. You ready to jump into our next story? This is something I added. It's kind of a little bit larger write up that I'm pulling from. But this is something I've thought about. Like, how would like future ownership work for cars? And I guess the current model doesn't really, if you really think about it, doesn't really make sense, because according to this article, 96% of the time your vehicle just sits idle, like not being used. And it's a expensive asset, and why would you just leave it sitting around not being used? So Volvo, they're like one of the biggest auto manufacturers in Europe, and they're known for like their safety and security and all that stuff. But they're a good company, but they're trying something new in this space, and I thought it's kind of interesting. I thought we could talk it over a little bit, but
yeah, it's kind of interesting. So they teamed with a company, Lynk and Co. No, sorry, the thing is going to be called Lynk and Co. But it's Volvo and Geely. They have a new '01 plug-in hybrid that's coming out. And like you were saying before, most people don't drive their cars, so they're offering a membership. So you would have two options. You can either buy this new hybrid car for $39,000 outright, or you can pay a $500 membership fee and like kind of own the car, but the car would be rented out to different people.
Yeah, I thought this part was the most like interesting aspect of the whole idea. So like the $500 membership fee includes like your mileage, so you get 1,250 kilometers or 777 miles. This is in Amsterdam, so they're going by the metric system here. You get like free maintenance and roadside assistance and a whole slew of different features, and it's a digital key. So if you have issues, Volvo can come pick up your car while you're at work and work on it. They don't need your key, and they can bring it back. So that in and of itself is kind of cool. All those things, because does leases typically cover your insurance as well, Alex?
I don't think leases do.
Yeah, so this is basically an all-encompassing package where almost everything you would ever need to do with your vehicle is covered. And then this is where it gets interesting. It has, obviously it's a Volvo car, so it has like all the bells and whistles. That's like, we don't need to get into that. Everybody knows what a modern luxury vehicle has on it. It has all that stuff. But it also has like an app where you can see like all sorts of things, like if the windows are rolled down or if the doors are unlocked or like where the vehicle is at, engines on, or all sorts of things. So you can see all this from your app. And the reason why is because this car, when it's in the membership mode, is designed to be loaned out to other users in your area. And I thought about this for a second. I'm like, why would I let my car, like somebody could just hop into my driveway and just get in my car and drive off? But it's a lot more, I guess there's a lot more rules in place.
Yeah, so it would be free to members. So like they would set a time and like a location and the price and conditions of being able to use the car. So like if you know like, hey, I'm not going to use my car today, this person wants to use it between 12 and 1, yeah, they can use it. They can pick it up here at this time. And then you will let them know. And then you would send them a digital copy of the key, and then they can get in. So like, and then you can make money off them using the car. Like I think Volvo, the Lynk Co would pay you for renting out your car.
Yeah, so I guess their idea is like, oh, you're paying $500 a month, but eventually if you loan it out enough, you could actually end up turning a profit from this vehicle. So you could get your payment down a little bit, a lot of it, or just, completely drive your car for free. And you can set all these parameters, like you can set the rules up like, hey, you need to return the car by this time with this much fuel. And the people have to take pictures of the car when they get in and when they get out. So you kind of can tell like if there's been damage or anything like that. And if they get in a car accident, obviously Volvo like covers all that stuff under their warranty. It's part of the plan. So this is in direct competition with other rideshare companies in Amsterdam. But the thing is since this is kind of like almost like an ownership model where you're kind of owning the vehicle and you can kind of choose when it's like loaned out, they can price these cheaper than like their competitors.
Yeah, I like the idea that Volvo's heavily involved, the car manufacturer, and like so you're backed by like a big company. A lot of these ride sharing apps, it's a lot of things with like these like new apps and all. You don't know like how long they're gonna last, or like if something happens, are you on the hook? Or I know they have terms and conditions, but they can like deny it. It seems like Volvo is really involved in this process and will handle everything because they want people to further use this. It's a good way for them to sell their cars, and then, you know, if like more people are like, oh, I like driving this car, maybe I'll just buy my own and get part of this program.
Yeah, and they also said that there's like a balance to be had. So they can't have too many of these cars out there because then there wouldn't be enough people trying to borrow them. So they can't have too many cars on the road because then a lot of them will be sitting and not generating profit. But they can't have too few cars on the road because then people won't be able to find loaner vehicles when they need it. So it's like a happy medium. They have to figure out how to get like that special, like perfect ecosystem where there's the perfect amount of cars available when you need it. And I think that's what they're shooting for.
Yeah, and I think all like the reviews have come in for the trial period in Amsterdam that this has worked. I don't really see this working in America.
I mean, it could work. I see it working like in like more progressive areas like California and out west and maybe New York City where it's hard to, you know, find a place to park your car.
Well, like, and then you have a place that has good public transportation where you can get around and might not need a car every day.
Yeah, that's true. But this would be for like if you need to go to the grocery store or like, because you might not need a car every single day. You could use public transportation. But if you need to go like shopping or the groceries or whatever, that's when it comes into play. Like, hey, I need a vehicle for this, but I don't need a vehicle all the time. And Ford actually, they've been really looking at this idea as well in the United States. So their plan in the next 10, 20 years, Ford is actually thinking they're going to go predominantly to this market. So this kind of gives us a glimpse of like what these car companies are thinking. All these companies are thinking subscription models. Subscription models seem to be like the most profitable thing to do for companies nowadays. And if they can figure out how to get them to work, then
you're constantly getting money coming in. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You have that steady stream of revenue. You don't have to worry about if your car's selling or not. And you probably, if you're selling these for like a flat fee, you're not worried about like haggling and things like that.
Yeah, and then there's like a lot, like one car can be generating money from multiple different people. So you're paying $500 a month, but that same car, if you rent it out, can also be getting money from other people as well. So you could technically get close to $1,000 per month out of this car if it's being loaned out a lot. That's a decent profit, especially if it's like in a busy area. And one other aspect that I'll touch on real quick before we jump on to our tech news bites. This could be good for families because they said that they're going to have a way to split up the app with trusted people in your family and somehow split the payment eventually as well. So if you have like a bunch of roommates and you want to just split the cost of this vehicle evenly amongst each other, this could be a good option. And then I guess you could reserve it in the app, fight over who gets it, when, and how, or maybe get two of them and split it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, like actually how it works on like a mass scale if it does work.
But $500 a month for a luxury SUV is not a lot, and it has all the stuff covered, like insurance and oil changes and all.
Yeah,
that.
they say that's probably the average of what people are paying for, like anyway.
Yeah, so it's not crazy expensive, I don't think. Plus, you know, you can make some money back if you rent it out. So I mean, I just thought that was an interesting thing to talk about. I think it's coming. I like you said, I don't know if Americans can grasp something like this because we're all about ownership here. But you ready to jump into our tech news bites, Alex?
Yep, got my timer, and let's go.
Tech News Bytes.
The first one up is the Nintendo Switch finally has updated their console, and it's going to be an OLED model, and it's out in October on the 8th, going for $350.
By update, do you mean they just have a larger screen? Because that seems to be the only thing that's really changing. It's going to a 7-inch screen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the rumors have been going all over the place. Like, everybody was like, this is going to be a Switch Pro. It's going to have, like, better internal. It's going to be quicker, 4K, all these extra bells and whistles. And guess what? It's the same device with just a bigger screen.
I wonder if Nintendo is trying to get like a better system, but they really don't want to mess with the size of the Switch. If they really change the size of the Switch, then they have to change a lot. Like, people can't just use the old stuff they have for it. So I wonder if they just want to keep it the same for that, and they're not ready for those other upgrades.
And also, I think it's just powerful enough. We're gotten to the point where, like, they want to make these style games. People are buying them. There's not any sign of slowing down. So might as well just update it a little bit. And that was holding me back from buying one. I thought the screen was too small. So a 7-inch screen, that gets me like perked up a little bit. Like, hey, this might be something I'll be interested in.
7 inches gets you perked up a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit. It's not that exciting, but, you know, it's a small upgrade, and it's $50 more. So it's up to you if you want to pay the extra cost for a little bit bigger screen, and everything else is exactly the same. They added a Ethernet port on the dock, though, which I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, there's not much more. All right, next topic.
Yeah, let's jump on to the next one. The next one is 130 nations agree to support the United States proposal for global minimum tax on corporations. This is a huge story, and I don't know really know like all the ramifications of this, but I'm gonna put it in the show notes so you can read it yourself and come to your own conclusions. But what'd you think of this, Alex?
I think it's about damn time. So, like, the biggest issue now is, like, you have companies, especially, like, your big pharmaceutical companies. I think Pfizer's a big one that does this. Is where, like, there'll be headquarters in, like, Ireland or somewhere that doesn't have, like, a high tax rate. And they'll be based there. But then, like, the whole operations will be over here. But they're technically headquarters in a foreign country. So, like, U.S. taxes wouldn't be against them. So, these 130 countries that responsible for 90% of the global GDP, are all signing on that we're going to have a unified tax code for like these companies, like a minimum at least.
So I guess we wouldn't be battling it out. So we're not trying to have a race to the bottom as far as like taxes go. Like, Google, come here because we're going to give you 2% tax or 1% tax.
Well, like a lot of these companies, they'll move their assets overseas, a lot of the money. And like you always hear about like, oh, we want to bring that money back, but then it's taxable. So like there was talks about like, oh, maybe it'll be free if we want to tax them if they bring it back. Yeah. But they're not bringing it back. They've had that chance. They're just keeping that money overseas because the taxes are lower. And I guess there's like they want to eliminate the digital service tax, which is a big tax for a lot of American tech companies, so that would be beneficial for them. But at least having a global minimum, they'll say maybe 15%, would stop companies from moving.
Real quick before we jump on to the next one, Alex, they did also say that they're going to make it so they tax the corporations in where they do business as opposed to where they're based. So that's another thing that would change with this is even though you're based in Ireland, you do most of your business in America, so you're taxed by American standards.
Yeah, and hopefully that money would come back to the United States.
We got another political one coming right up. Pentagon cancels a $10 billion Jedi contract that Amazon and Microsoft were fighting over. This is a story back in 2019. Microsoft won this gigantic $10 billion contract from the Department of Defense, and they were going to, modernize a bunch of stuff. But Amazon was really mad. They thought Trump hated them and looked them over, so they were suing, and I guess they won, or at least got the government to cancel the contract, and they're going to start a bidding war again.
So what happened is, it was the Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure. So what happened is it got held up in court. Now, like what the government was asking for, that you have these certain criteria to hit, are no longer, like, they need better. They're past that. They need better advancements in this.
So we're outdated just because we can't come to a decision on what modern technology we're going to use. We're going to fight about it for 10 years. We're going to further get behind. They're going to finally come to some sort of decision. And then when they do that, they're like, wait a minute. Tech has changed again. We need to start the bidding war again.
Well, yeah, now the new name for the contract will be the Joint Warfighter Cloud Capability. So they're trying to get in like cloud computing and things like that, and just update their systems. He said the only two companies that could do it are Microsoft and Amazon, so they're really just bidding against themselves again. It does seem like Amazon really wants this contract because it's a ton of money. It was like $10 billion or something like that.
Yeah, I also saw that they might break it up to like multiple different smaller contracts, and maybe different companies can take those smaller ones in pieces. Probably what they should do. I don't know, but yeah, I'm surprised it's just two companies that could possibly handle this.
All right, next one.
All right. Bird plans a pilot program for electric wheelchair and mobility scooters in New York City this summer. Bird is the company that has the scooters for people that aren't disabled. And, they are finally launching a program for, people who need mobility, like in the city. Like, you don't want to drag around your heavy wheelchair everywhere you go. And Bird is going to supply, I guess, 3 different models to people who need them.
Yeah, they're teaming with Scooter-Round. You have 3 different options. You can choose between 1 or 14 days to rent a scooter. Riders get like an orientation to tell them how to use it, charge it, storing it, and like a number to call if like anything happens to it. I mean, it's a good idea, especially if you've ever been in New York. It's a lot of walking. It's a big city. So if you're visiting and having trouble getting around, be good, and then you don't have to lug your scooter around with you.
It also makes sense because a lot of people come from other countries to New York City. So if you're coming to New York and you're disabled, you probably want something like this because you can't bring that heavy equipment with you here probably as easily.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm sure there's probably other companies that already do this in New York.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably why Birds get into it. They see other companies being successful and they're like, hey, we can one-up you guys because we have a huge following.
Do they have a huge following, or do people just use them for like 10 minutes at a time?
Well, I mean, they have a huge user base. I think Bird and Lime are huge.
Yeah, but I think it's just like a spur of the moment thing. I don't know how like tied people are to these companies.
I have a preference. I usually use Lime. They're a little bit more inexpensive. But next one up is TikTok increases their video length from 1 to 3 minutes. This isn't a new change. They rolled this out a couple months ago to like very select few creators, and it made sense because those creators would use it actually use it properly. But since they rolled it out to all the users, you're getting all sorts of 3-minute videos that don't need to be 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's going against all of what TikTok was for, right?
Yeah, it was originally a 60-second platform, and they tripled the time. Why not double it? They tripled it.
Yeah, and I know they had feedback of people like, I wish this was longer and all. But I think a lot of people just used it there's 60 seconds and you just go to the next one. 60 seconds, you go to the next one. Filling 3 minutes of content's long, and probably a lot of stuff is not as cool if you stretch it out.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of things that can be easily fit down to 60 seconds, and it's an art form. A lot of people can cook whole meals in 60 seconds and show you how to do it. And sure, people probably aren't going to use the full 3 minutes. And I'm thinking the algorithm will help us here, where if it's truly a bad video, 3 minutes long, and it's not entertaining, it's probably not going to show up on your feed if it's not a good video.
No, and people say our Tech Bytes segment's 2 minutes too long.
Yeah, we were talking about a 20-second Tech Byte where we just read the title and go on, because that's what people do anyways. They just read the headline and move on, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's like kind of when Twitter jumped up to 102 something. I don't know. 246 characters or some crap like that.
Yeah, that was annoying as well. I think Twitter should have stayed small. I think TikTok should stay small. Maybe they're going to eventually take on YouTube. I don't know.
What do you want from the world, Mike? You want your screens big and your content small.
I just want like my platforms to be unique. So TikTok had its own little tiny like slice of media. I don't want them to be like the everything. Like I think that's what kind of hurts Instagram for me, because Instagram's trying to be so many different things at once. It's lost its identity. And I hope TikTok doesn't do the same, because I think your identity is so important to differentiate yourself from the competition.
Well, that's what I think Twitter found that out the hard way with their fleet videos and all. Like, this is not what you guys do. Do what you do well in the stick.
Do those even exist anymore? I think they do, but I think they do. I don't know. Let's jump on to the next one. I added this late. I'm sorry if you missed it, but some popular brands have been disappearing from the Amazon store. The popular electronic brands, they could sell like chargers and headphones and cables and all that stuff. So I noticed that Aukey, they were actually a pretty good brand, and another one called Rav Power and Chotec. All those three brands have just slowly disappeared altogether from Amazon. Come to find out, they have been breaking the rules as far as like paying for reviews.
Yeah, it's not paying for reviews, but it's like, hey, we'll give you this free thing if you post a 5-star review. We'll give you a gift card if you post this 5-star review about
bartering for reviews.
Yeah, so it is technically people who have bought items from them. They definitely want you to review, and they're giving you more incentive to give them a 5-star review.
But these are big brands though, so I'm kind of curious why Amazon's cracking down on them in particular.
Probably because Amazon has like their own products that correlate directly to them.
That's what my guess is. I think that's what it is.
So they're using this like fake reviews as a excuse to take them off. But like you can just like warn them like, hey, you need to stop this. But
I guess it's their way of punishing them instead of like giving them a fine. I don't even know if they got a fine or what, but they were actually pretty high quality. I've ordered products from all those companies and they've been really well made. I've noticed an uptick in Amazon like cracking down on things. So in the last like 6 months, I've gotten 2 to 3 emails of them saying, hey, you bought this product and it ended up being a counterfeit. And please, like, dispose of this product, and we'll refund you. Nice. So I've noticed that they have been cracking down on these sellers lately. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's like 6 months later. So I'm like, I've already used this product, so I don't know how beneficial it is besides me getting a refund.
All right,
next one up is Airbnb has blocked nearly 20,000 bookings across 7 U.S. cities as part of its party house ban, with almost 1/4 in Phoenix. I guess Phoenix is a big party city.
Yes. Out west, people like to party. Arizona State was like the number 1 party school for a long time, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think so.
I've never been.
Yeah, so I guess Airbnb has this thing where people under 25, if they're renting a home close to their house and they don't have any positive reviews before, they're just not letting you rent anything. So they don't want people like to rent out a house just to have a party, which makes sense. If I'm renting out my property, I don't want somebody to have a party. But it was like under the guise of like COVID, they didn't want big parties and all. But I guess over the 4th of July, they did it for every age. People that's renting homes in like the neighborhoods if they didn't have any positive reviews.
They've also shut down whole areas before, like during the protests. They shut down like all of Washington D.C. so you couldn't get an Airbnb in Washington D.C. for a while. So yeah, they've like tightened the grips on a lot of things there. I feel like.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think I don't know. Airbnb seemed like it was kind of getting out of hand for a while, like people renting places and then people.
Yeah, I guess they get complaints like
out just using
noise complaints
for partying. Yeah,
that sort of thing. I know a lot of people like in the past, like five years ago, like I knew a lot of people that would rent out Airbnbs and just to party, like people from work or whatever. Or, hey, we're going down to this other city. We're gonna go to Nashville, rent an Airbnb and party, that sort of thing. So I know it's a pretty big thing to do, but I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. But you can't really stop people from like going out of town to do it. But I can see, like, if I'm renting a house in my neighborhood, I'm just there to have a party.
Yeah, that's true. Next one up is watch what you like on streaming, assuming you can find it. So that's a kind of ambiguous title, but basically the whole article is getting at everything moves around from platform to platform so much, and there's so many different platforms now, it's impossible to find what you're looking for in the mess of like platforms.
Yeah, so I posted this one because I had a great gripe like 2 weeks ago. So I decided I was going to finally watch all the Fast and the Furious movies. I haven't seen them all. I've seen the first 3. So I watched the first 2 on HBO Max, and I wanted to watch 3 and 4, and they were nowhere to be found. Nothing. Looked up an article saying they were on Peacock. They weren't on Peacock. They must have got taken down. So then 2 days ago, I noticed that the third one, Tokyo Drift, is back on Peacock. And, like, there's no rhyme or reason. Like, they don't tell you anything when they're taking off. They're just telling you, like, hey, and, like, it's impossible to find stuff. Like, a lot of series are here and there. They said Batman Begins and The Dark Knight went around 4 different streaming services between March 2020 and March of 2021. So, like, they're just, like, all over the place. Unless it's, like, a Disney product, there's no rhyme or reason, like, where it's at. It's on different platforms.
And even the Disney stuff sometimes ends up on different things as well.
Yeah. If you have a Roku remote, I don't know how good Alexa is yet. I haven't tried it yet. If you have a Roku remote, just like say what you're searching for, and it will bring up what you're looking for and show you what service is on, or like if you have to buy it to rent it, and like if it's free or not. It's really helpful.
There's a lot of apps out there like Just Watch as well. That's another app I use, and it tells you where everything's at, and also tells you the prices of rentals and all that stuff. But yeah, it's getting tough to find stuff. But all right, final one up is: could Pfizer and Moderna now face their second worst scenario? So I guess the worst scenario is that it wouldn't be effective enough. Okay.
Yes. So I found this article, and it was from Monty Fool, which is a business website. I found that it's just like it's just annoying to me, like all this stuff. So, like Pfizer, Moderna has made billions of dollars over this past year with their vaccine, and now this article is saying, because it's talking about investing, like, oh no, it's the second worst case scenario. The vaccine's too effective. They're not going to be able to sell booster shots and all. That's a good thing. Like, we don't need, like, these articles like, oh, it's a worst case scenario for them. Like, I think when it comes to stuff like these vaccines and all, it should be outside the realm of worrying about your company's profits.
Yeah, and also it's a sad way to think, like, oh, we need to develop a vaccine that's good, but not good enough,
Yeah.
I just think that's a sad way to think about, like, how to care for people. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and hopefully that's not how companies design vaccines. I just hope that's not the case.
Well, I think there's two hands in a lot of these technical companies and all those. Like the researchers who are doing it or who are just trying to solve the problem and do good, and then it's the business side. We're like, we need to make money. That's all we care about. So you have like the people who are trying to actually do good, and the people who are like, we can sell this for a ton of money. We'll be, we didn't actually do any of the research on it, but other people did. But we can sell it.
We can sell it. Yeah. I hope I don't have to get a booster shot next year. But if I have to, then I will. But it's funny to think that they're not going to... I'm sure they're going to have plenty of time to make their money off of this, honestly. So...
No, they already made their money back. They're fine.
All right, let's jump into our summer series. And this is just... We're talking about how industries have changed.
You skipped a couple articles,
I don't think so. I deleted some.
Yeah, you deleted some, but the big news of Microsoft Windows blue screen of death.
That was the stupidest story ever.
Now.
I deleted that. The only difference was they changed the screen from blue to black. The end. That's a 10-second story.
Put it on the thing. I wrote 3 pages on it.
Did you really?
No, I wrote one. I think I just wrote the headline and wrote they changed it from blue to black. I didn't know how we were going to make 2 minutes out of it. But okay, I guess go to our summer series, Mike. We should have got a jingle for this summer series. Summer series. Everybody's having fun. We're splashing, we're playing, but we're worried about what's the things to come.
Yeah, so this week we're talking retail. We've covered what in the past I think we covered like robot deliveries, manufacturing, and like the food industry. So this week it's retail. You shared an article with me that's a year old that has 6 different things. So I thought it'd be interesting to like kind of look at these articles, the 6 different topics they talk about, and kind of say, hey, were they right or were they wrong? Just check them. Let's check them on their thinking a little bit. So this article was 6 ways the coronavirus pandemic has forever altered the retail landscape. So I'll go through this list and we'll kind of talk through it as we go. But number 1 on the list was touch-free shopping. So they were proposing or saying that pretty much we're all going to be using touchless cashiers and pickup and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know you don't like it because you like to be touched. No, but with curbside pickup, Lowe's has like lockers where you can go and pick up and you put in the pin they send you. And I know like the big one where you can just like walk out of the store with your groceries. I think a lot of this stuff is to stay. Like the curbside pickup and, like the grocery pickup where they just put in your truck, like your trunk. Like that stuff was here before. I think the pandemic pushed that
accelerated.
Forward. And that's not going anywhere. Like curbside pickup with like restaurants, like the whole curbside culture, you're going to see more and more parking lots have like a spot for that.
So for number 1, touch-free shopping, for the most part, they got that right. We are going that direction.
Well, then Walmart just said, I saw the announcement, Walmart's doing away with all their cashiers, which if you ever been to a Walmart in like the past 10 years, it seems like they always had one cashier for the 30 registers that they have.
But wasn't that always their advertisement as of late? Like, we have more cashiers now, so lines will go quicker. I remember that was their ad campaign like a couple years ago.
Yeah, but now it's all touch-free. I guess you're touching the screen, but contact-free shopping.
I don't even like touching those grubby touchscreens either. So I wish there would be like a way to like hover your hand over it or something like that, because I don't want to touch stuff, honestly.
I like having a cashier. The few times I've gone back to Kroger to actually talk to the cashier.
To be fair, sometimes if you have a full cart, the cashier's way faster than ringing that stuff up yourself.
Oh, I the one time I did the self-checkout for grapes, and they were on sale, but I must have put like the wrong grape size in. It was supposed to be like $1.99 per pound. I ended up paying like $3 per pound. My wife was not happy.
Because you did it accidentally?
Yeah, put in the wrong grape code, I guess. So anytime I have something that needs to be weighed, I go to a cashier.
I've had them sometimes say, "Oh, just put it in for $1. We can't find it." I'm like, I don't think this thing's $1. But yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose in that situation. But all right, for the first one, I think they got that for the most part spot on. All right, second one up was acceleration of e-commerce. Yeah.
There's no way around it. Like all these companies are forcing e-commerce. They said like all like Gap and all like turned a lot of those stores in like pseudo warehouses for e-commerce, and that 36% of online sales were actually filled by physical stores. So like they're moving these stores to push online sales, and like that's not going away.
I will say this though, Alex. I don't 100% buy that clothing is going online all the way. So I still think there's going to be stores to shop in for that. And I think that it might have peaked a little bit during the coronavirus, like the online clothing shopping. I think since the changing rooms are reopening up and people are able to go back in and try things on, I think that they're going to see stores increase a little bit as far as like clothing goes. So I think, that might change a little bit.
I think, like, I like to try on pants before I buy them, or button-down shirts for work I have to wear. I like to buy them. Like, we went to the mall on Sunday. Why I picked retail, because I was at the mall. And, like, we went to the mall because I was going to go buy shoes. Like, I don't like to buy shoes online because even though you can have like the same brand, sometimes the 9.5 they made of one style shoe is not the same size as the 9.5 that they made in this other style.
I'm with you on shoes. I am like it's a crapshoot for me with shoes. I can never find one that perfectly fits me. We both have weird feet, I guess.
And we'll talk about the mall later, but like I like going to the mall.
I don't know.
But like but I do think like e-commerce has push so much, and these stores are realizing that they need to use the stores to help fulfill us. If you bought stuff on Amazon, Walmart recently, like we were buying birthday supplies for my son, and to get free shipping, I bought some stuff we needed that wouldn't go bad, like fabric softener and something else. They just delivered that from the store. Like, it was just in a Walmart bag, and you can tell they just bought it at the store and drove it over.
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, they're like mini warehouses in essence. So, yeah, it would make sense that the stores could be like a venue for that. All right, next one is number 3, the rise of the everything store. I kind of think this is correct, where they said that Walmart, Target, stores where you can get everything there are on the rise.
They've always been on the rise. I don't get it. I think like stuff kind of like there's some times where like there were like these super specialty stores, but I think the internet has really done a number on those. But I think like you can go to like Walmart's automotive section, but like they don't have everything that they would have at like an AutoZone or O'Reilly's or something like that. So sometimes you need to go to those specialty stores. But I think they've always been there. I think that's Walmart and Target have just gotten so much bigger, and Kroger's kind of moving into that space with those super Krogers.
Yeah, so I would say if the pandemic didn't happen, or if it did, this probably would have been, about the same.
Well, I think you just seen it get replaced because this is exactly what Sears was.
Yeah.
Sears was the everything store that's got replaced by Walmart and Target. I don't think it's something
To
new.
be fair, Amazon is the everything store as well. So Amazon's just the online version of Walmart. Everybody thinks it's cool, but it's just Walmart in another form.
Yeah, well, you don't have to leave your house.
Yeah, you don't have to leave your house. And go look at the people that shop at Amazon. If you saw the people that shopped at Amazon, you would be appalled. You would be like, I'm never shopping here again.
You mean everybody? Everybody shops at Amazon.
All right. So, for the most part, number 3 gets a thumbs up. Number 4 is sharp split between big spenders and penny pinchers. This is, I guess, what they're getting at is people who are out of work or are like hurting for cash right now. They're not spending. And then the people who are richer, they are spending, but not as much as they would.
Yeah, I didn't really get this one.
They didn't really lay that one out very well. Because I feel like everybody is spending every single dollar they're getting right now. Like, you can't find PS5s. You can't find... Like, everything is, like, sold out. You can't get things right now.
Yeah, I didn't get that one. Tell them that. Write them a letter and tell them that one's stupid.
2 thumbs down. 2 thumbs down at number 4. I think people are spending money still, just as much as they've ever spent money. All right, number 5 is another blow for malls and department stores.
Sad day. So what? Like, that's going back to the other one. Like, Walmart and Target are just department stores. I don't get like why they try to reclassify them as something else. Maybe because they don't sell like appliances, like fridge and stuff like that. But they're just department stores.
They are, but department store, like you said, are like more appliances and clothing and that sort of stuff.
But that's what they have, everything but the big appliances.
Yeah. Groceries
I just
too.
don't get why, like, yeah, they have groceries. Like, I just don't get why they're like this. Not to consider it when they really, that's all they are. No, but we went to the mall the other day and it was not looking good. Even worse than before. I think I only had 2 restaurants left in the food
Which
court.
mall did you go to?
Eastgate.
Yeah, so the thing is, malls that are already doing really, really well are gonna continue to do well. Like the Kenwood Mall in our area is like the ritzy mall, and it's not really shown much signs of like slowdown. It's still busier than ever. But the Florence Mall and the Eastgate Mall, those malls are kind of like not the hit malls, and those are losing tenants left and right, and they have to lower the rent, so they're not getting the money they normally would from the rent spaces either.
Yeah, so we went to the Eastgate Mall because, like I said, I needed shoes, but they also have like a play area. So it was nice that I could go get shoes and my wife could just take the kids to the play area and they could play. And I have to worry about them getting the stuff in the store.
What's funny is I already thought the Eastgate Mall was a defunct mall, and is it not?
No. Kohl's does pretty good there. JCPenney's does pretty
Wait,
good there.
there's still JCPenney's out there?
I like JCPenney's.
I had no clue there was still JCPenney's still in business.
There's a decent amount. They have a lot of good sales online. I bought a decent amount of Christmas presents online from there. But yeah, I'm sad. I like the malls. But I do think they said that over the next 3 to 5 years, 25% of the malls of America will close. The thing that annoys me is like in Eastgate, and it's like Florence too, like you have the mall, and like, oh, we don't want to be in the mall. But then they build like these shopping centers across the street from the mall. Well, it's just like the mini malls where you can just walk up. Like brand new, they're willing to build all this brand new stuff. But we can't put it in the mall.
Yeah, something about the mall just kind of feels stuffy and old. Like Kenwood Mall, the reason why I think that one's still popular is because it's pretty wide. It's really nice looking, bright, good skylights, that sort of thing.
And they have Richie stores. They have the Apple store. I think Saks Fifth Avenue moved there.
Yeah, so they have some premium stuff there. But yeah, I think people just have changed their habits. They don't want to wander around like a dingy old building that hasn't been updated since like the 70s. They want newer looking stuff.
No, I don't know. I just like going to the mall and walking around. I think the problem with the mall is like you got the stuff in the mall is just like overly priced.
Yeah, that too. It's
like FIE and Suncoast and all, and Hot Topics and that.
And also the brands you just talked about are stuff that is going away as well. Like people aren't buying CDs and DVDs and stuff like that anymore either. Yeah. So a lot of like the staples of the mall are going away, like GameStop. Like all these stores are like old. So basically what will we have left? We'll have clothing, shoes, and maybe some
Bath and Body Works.
Some Bath and Body Works stuff. And a lot of that stuff you can get like at Target now, or you could always get at Target, but a lot of these stores are getting hipper with like their product selection and such.
I took my son shopping for Christmas for my wife, and there must have been like a Bath and Body Works sale. I've never been in Bath and Body Works, so that's not my store. But it was like a madhouse. Like I didn't get is it that good of a deal? Like the line here was
it's
super
a ripoff.
long, like,
I think even when it's on sale, it's a ripoff. And I feel like the product's gone down in quality. Like my wife, every time we go in there, she's like, "This is not as good of a soap as I remember it being. We're not going in there again. Like we're never going back. This is terrible."
You're like, "Oh no, that's please say we get to go back."
Yeah, I'm like, please no, never, never again.
It was the second last day that the Sears in that mall, it was one of the anchor stores open. So me and him went in the Sears, and they were just selling everything. It's like where you could buy like the
Shelving.
case for the jewelry, and like I ended up buying my wife a bunch of random stuff for like I got her like a coverall for like the beach, like like a swimsuit coverall. It was like 75 cents and all. This is like ridiculous and cheap.
I remember when all those stores went out, like Circuit City, people pretty much buying shelving units and all sorts of stuff.
I cleaned up on DVDs when Circus City and Blockbuster went out of business.
So, okay, we agree that you like malls. I somewhat like malls, but they're probably going away for the most part. So they'll be. I wonder if they'll make a resurgence eventually. Probably 20 years from now, maybe.
No, I think it would be like these newer complexes, like you saw. Like, have you been up to Liberty Township?
Yeah, that's like the outdoor malls type thing.
They have a smaller inside space, so it's not like this huge, humongous mall. But then like there's a lot more outdoor shops that like you can walk around to and all. I think that's the future. Like there's hybrid, smaller indoor space for like your store, like your Spencer's and Hot Topics. But then not the bigger out like face stuff.
We'll see. Every time I'm up there, it's not busy. So we have an office up there, so I'm up there quite a bit, and it's never hard to find parking. I'll say that. So yeah, I think we both. You give a moderate thumbs up on that one. I give it a thumbs up. Number 6, the casualization of clothing. Basically, they're saying since everybody's working from home, everybody's buying sweatpants, t-shirts, comfy clothes.
Yeah, about damn time people realize that these clothes are better than regular pants. I get annoyed. Like, we have invented sweats and t-shirts, and people like look down upon you for wearing those. Like, no, we as a civilization have created the most comfortable clothes imaginable. Why are we not taking advantage of that?
Because they don't look clean. They don't look clean. They look dirty a lot of times. They have wrinkles, and it's not a. If you buy the right sweats, it can look good. You can make it look presentable, but it just looks like not frumpy, but I can't think of a better word, so we'll just go with frumpy.
Nah, like I don't know. I just like mesh shorts, like things like that. Like I'd rather have we have elastic now. I shouldn't have to wear a belt.
I don't agree with this part of the article because I think everything's trends, and obviously people are gonna want to look good eventually again. Like go out, hang out with friends, party, clubbing, whatever. Go back to work and look good for your coworkers, or all you want to look good for another job interview or whatever. So I think maybe what it did do is it made it more socially acceptable to go out in this stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that look down on like sweatpants and like mesh, like athletic wear when you're not doing it, realize like, oh, this stuff is just comfortable. Like when you had nothing to do. Like, I'm just always in sweats usually, unless I'm not working. But I have to wear a shirt and tie every day to work. So, like, when I'm not working, I don't want to have to wear, like, I'm going to wear a button-down to go out. No, I'm wearing a button-down 40 hours a week. That's enough.
So, I don't know. I'm in the middle on this. I think it's definitely made it more popular and more socially acceptable. But I see the pendulum swinging back the other way a little bit. So... yeah, that's the show for today. You can reach us at The Future Jam on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I didn't put this at the top, but I think we should let everybody know we need some reviews on Amazon. Or not Amazon. What is it, Apple? Yeah.
Apple.
We have some reviews on there, but I don't know if a lot of our users use Apple iPhones.
No, I don't know who listens to our podcast besides me and my brothers.
So if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review. It would help us out, get some more traction. So, yeah. Thanks for listening. And you have anything else to add before we sign off, Alex?
People take advantage of having the technology we have with comfortable clothes. Wear your sweatpants and your t-shirts proudly.
No, respect your body. Respect your body. Dress up. Dress up.
No.
You could die at any moment, and you don't want to be dead in a pair of sweatpants.
Yeah. They're like, oh, he died the way he lived, being comfortable.
Well, we'll just end it at that. I'll see you next week, Alex.